Hello, everyone. My name is Hamza, and today my friend Engin and I will be explaining to you what's new with .NET 7. So we have 5 sections right here. We have what's new with ASP.NET Core, what's new with Blazor, C# 11, Entity Framework Core, and MAUI. I will be explaining what's new with ASP.NET Core and Blazor, and my friend Engin will have what's left. So to start off, we have these topics new with us in ASP.NET Core. They came in new with them. First, we have the rate limiting middleware, and then we have the output caching. We also have built-in HTTP3 support, and we have the request decompression and the gRPC JSON transcoding. And for Blazor, we have custom elements and improved JavaScript interop on WebAssembly for Blazor. So to start off, we have rate limiting. It's the first one, the rate limiting middleware. And so rate limiting is actually a way to limit request frequency for a period of time. Before .NET 7, we did not have any built-in support, so we would need to implement it ourselves, maybe use some NuGet packages around, right? Or let our CDN provider do this on the server level on behalf of us, like Cloudflare, for example. But right now, with .NET 7, built-in rate limiting support has been added, and now we can easily define rate limiting policies and attach them with our endpoints. All right. And so to do that, the first thing we need to do is we need to register the related services using the add rate limiter method, as we can see right here. And then we can use one of the rate limiting algorithms. And so there are a couple of them. There's such as a fixed window, sliding window, and token bucket. But in this example, we are using the fixed window. And so after doing that, and after registering the related services, now we can use the rate limiter middleware and attach our defined rate limiting policy with an endpoint. And so in this example, as you can see right here, we used in a window of 10 seconds. If we go to the endpoint, if we run the project and we go to the endpoint that we applied the rate limiting to it, and if we click or send a request 4 times in a window of 10 seconds, it will stop responding for 10 seconds, and then it will go on again. So 3 and 4, and then more than 4, and now it stops responding, as you can see. Next up, we have the output caching middleware. And so this is the second feature that we have. The output caching middleware. The output caching is a new middleware that helps you store results from your web app and then serve them from a cache rather than computing them every time, again and again and again. And this improves the performance and frees up resource on other activities, I think you can already tell. And so it's really pretty straightforward to use with minimal APIs. You just need to create an endpoint and use the cache output method with an expire time. And then when someone sends a request to your endpoint, it will be cached for a specific time and not calculate the result every time all over again. It'll just be sent automatically without computing. And for this example, we have a window of 10 minutes that whenever we send a request, it will just send it back. It will just send this ready result back without computing it every time. Next up, we have HTTP3 support. It's a HTTP3 support. It's a new version of HTTP, and it's supported by most modern browsers, of course, you might already know. So it uses the same request methods and the same status codes, the same headers with HTTP1 and HTTP2. The main difference is just in the TCP, so in the transport layer. So HTTP2 uses the TCP protocol, but HTTP3 uses the QUIC protocol that is built on top of the UDP protocol. And so in .NET 6, HTTP3 was introduced for experimental purposes, so it was not really officially supported. But right now with .NET 7, it's fully supported. It's not, of course, enabled by default, so it can be configured as follows, as we can see right here. And the next feature is request decompression. So what is this for? It's of course for the compressed requests. It uses the content encoding HTTP header to automatically identify and decompress the compressed requests. And doing that is actually a good way to speed up an endpoint response time. As you can see right here, we are registering the decompression services. And right here, we are using the request decompression middleware. The next feature is gRPC transcoding. We have a lot of articles already on gRPC, and we're already familiar with what RPCs are. And so it's this one, the JSON transcoding is an extension for ASP.NET Core that creates RESTful JSON APIs for gRPC services. Okay, so gRPC is a high-performance RPC framework, uses HTTP2 and protobuf. And since it relies on HTTP2, you cannot call a gRPC service from a web browser directly. And this is where the JSON transcoding comes in. In other words, JSON transcoding provides us a flexible way to combine gRPC and REST APIs in some kind of way, as you can see right here. Next up, we have Blazor custom elements. So Blazor custom elements are not experimental anymore, and they're supported officially with .NET 7. And what are Blazor custom elements? They provide a way to dynamically render Razor components from other SPA frameworks, such as Angular or React. And to be able to use custom elements, there are two steps that need to be done. First, we need to register the custom elements. Second, we need to use the registered custom elements. And finally, we have improvements on the JavaScript interop. So the JavaScript interop JS import and JS export attributes were released with .NET 7, and they allow us to interact with JavaScript in a Blazor WebAssembly application easily. And so to import a JavaScript function and call it from C#, we're going to use the JS import attribute. And to export a .NET method so that it can be called from a JavaScript from JavaScript, we'll use the JS export attributes. Thank you for listening, and my friend Engin will take it from here.
Thanks, Hamza. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Hamza. I'll be taking from here, and we'll talk about what is new in C# 11, EF Core 7, and .NET MAUI 7. There are great features that came with C# 11, such as required members, generic attributes, raw string literals, and list patterns. C# 11 introduces a new keyword named required to ensure property initialization while creating an object. We just need to add the required keyword before the property type, and that's it. Then we can ensure the mega properties will be initialized while we're creating an object. Otherwise, it will give compile time errors, and we need to fix it before compiling and running our application. The second feature is generic attributes. Before C# 11, to create a typed attribute was a really hard thing. We would need to pass a type object to the constructor of the attribute and assign it to a property and do stuff with this property. But now C# 11 introduces generic attributes, and now it's possible to easily create generic attributes like creating a normal general class. Raw string literals is one of the good features that came with C# 11. It's a kind of synthetic sugar, and it allows containing arbitrary text without escaping. We just need to wrap a string content with the triple double quote syntax, and we are free to put any string value into variables. As you can see in here, we can add HTML tag into the content. Also, it is possible to use JSON content with this new syntax, And also it supports string interpolation. We just need to add $sign before the first triple double quote, and that's it. It will work with string interpolation without any problem. And this pattern is also one of the good features. It expands the pattern matching for lists and arrays. We can use it to match an array or a list against a sequence of values. And there are three different ways for list pattern matching. The first one is discard pattern. If we know the length of the array or list, we can make a match to see is the related number or value in the same position. It is good for that kind of scenarios. The second one is range pattern. It is good for if you don't know the length but want to check the numbers within the range. You can use doubles dot syntax with the not known values, just the before values and the after ones, and just specify the first and last value and check it. The third one is var pattern. It helps us to capture a value in the specific sequence of values. So in this example, we get a numbers array, and we are checking this array and just setting the last number of it to our last number variable, so we can use it in our code. Let's continue with EF Core 7. There are too many good things on EF Core 7 side as well, like JSON columns, improvements on bulk updates and deletes, performance improvements on save changes and save changes async methods. JSON columns are one of the wanted features that on .NET 7. EF7 supports JSON columns, and this allows the mapping of aggregates built from .NET types to JSON documents. We just need to make a small configurations. As you can see, we just use the toJSON extension method here to specify as a JSON column. And also link queue support has been added with this version, so we can query our JSON column with the link queue, just like query over any other value. EF7 also introduces good features like improvements on bulk updates and deletes. They are introduced two new methods: execute update async and execute delete async methods. These methods are helpful to help us to take out the change tracker into this process, and based on the expression that we provide, they are not loading the related records into memory, just need to operate some operations on them. So in other words, with this feature, there is no need to load entities into memory and update them. As you can see, there are examples of using these methods. We just need to provide expression to these methods, and then it will not load these records into memory, and will find them on database side, and will delete or update them according to our method call. In EF7, there are good significant performance improvements, like save changes and save changes async methods. According to EF Core Team, saving changes is now 4 times faster than EF Core 7 for some cases. As you can see, a simple benchmark result in here. Even after 4 insert records, there are about 3 times performance gains. And when the record count improved, also the performance will be much more important. Let's continue with .NET MAUI 7. As you know, .NET MAUI is a cross-platform framework for building native desktop and mobile applications by using C# and XAML. And it's a new technology, and it's evolving with every release. And .NET MAUI team making good features with every release, releasing them, and also making some bug fixes. Today, I will only mention about the map control feature, and mentioned some improvements that made on mobile and desktop sides. .NET MAUI 7 introduces map control. This provides us a native map experiences. It supports pins, polygons, polylines, circles, geolocation, and more. So we can pinpoint we can pin a point in the map, or draw a circle, or calculate the distance between two locations, or etc. It's all supported with this release. And also, as I said earlier, it's a .NET MAUI is a new technology and it's evolving. So there were some problems on rendering performance on mobile, and with .NET MAUI 7, they optimized the rendering for mobile application, and it's much faster than .NET MAUI 6. And in addition to that, there are some enhancements on desktop side, like window size and position, context menus, and there was kind of a bug in here, and tooltips and gestures and etc. That was all from me. Thanks for listening. We are on you.
Okay, thank you very much, Engin, also Hamza. You guys give us a very good presentation for explaining what's happening on the .NET 7.0, the new features. And now, before we move on to the next topic of ABP 7.0, I want to call attention to you again for our giveaway lottery with 3 JetBrains Ultimate subscriptions. And we have also 1 ABP personal license, if you retweeted our tweet. And the winners will be announced before we finish. So don't forget to leave your questions for winning the gift. And we will answer you at the Q&A session. Okay, now the stage is for Halil. Are you ready? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ro. Hello, everybody. In this part, I will talk about the ABP 7.0, which has been released as release candidate in the previous week. So let's begin with the overall. First of all, it's obvious that we have upgraded the ABP framework to .NET 7 with the ABP 7 version. So now ABP and .NET versions are equal, and it's 7.0. And we have also upgraded to OpenID library to its 4th version, while it is still in preview. We talked to Kevin, the creator of the OpenID library. He said that it will be stable before we release the ABP Framework 7 in the January. So we have also, as a big feature, we have worked on a Dapr integration, and I will talk about its details in the next slides. We have introduced a concept as integration services with ABP 7. We have created dynamic features, permissions, and external localization system. I will explain why we have worked on these features. We have created a basic service to catch your entities in distributed cache. This is a very common pattern, so we have created a pre-built class for that. We have created layout hooks for the Blazor UI. Maybe some of you already know that MVC and MVC UI especially has a layout hook concept that's used to inject some scripts or styles or custom HTML code into some predefined points in your team's layout. So it's an opportunity to customize the team and inject some global code into the layout. And finally, I will mention some improvements on the eShopOnAbp project. Okay, let's begin with the Dapr integration. Dapr has some building blocks. I think it has 7 or 8 building blocks. It's used to simplify service-to-service communication, especially integrating services. It's called as a distributed application runtime. Anyway, it is a service invocation building block that's used to communicate between microservices in a microservice system. ABP has a similar concept like C# API client proxies. It can dynamically or statically generate API clients for services. So when you use ABP's C# API client proxies, the service-to-service communication will be much easier. I will explain details about that. Dapr has publish and subscribe system, and ABP has distributed event bus. So we have also integrated these systems. So you can use ABP's distributed event bus abstraction API and you can use Dapr under the hood. So they communicate each other and integrate. And also, finally, we have also integrated the distributed log building block, because ABP has distributed log, and you may want to replace with Dapr's distributed log. For other Dapr building blocks, you don't need to have an ABP integration. You can directly use other Dapr features because they are not intersecting with ABP features. Dapr integration is already well documented. You can use this shortened URL to access the Dapr documentation for ABP 7. Okay, let's begin with the integration details. ABP, has dynamic C# client proxies. When you have a server application within just like an example application service here, for example, you have a product service that returns a list of products. And you have another .NET client application that can be another microservice or a desktop application, doesn't matter, even a Blazor application, and you want to, with ABP's dynamic C# client proxies, you can directly inject the application service interface into your client code and call the service methods as just like local methods. ABP framework handles all the HTTP details like authentication, JSON serialization, a potential exception handlings and retries, and some other ABP concepts like localization and multi-tenancy. So you don't deal all these details, just make the calls just like local method calls. And now with Dapr integration, you can use Dapr sidecars in between the communication. So that means all the service calls will pass through to Dapr system. So you can take also advantage of Dapr's service discovery, tracing, observability, security, retry, and all other cross-cutting and concerns and other pre-built features. So it both works well, and you can take benefit of both sides. ABP has also a distributed event bus. When you use ABP's distributed event bus, instead of directly communicating to RabbitMQ or Kafka message broker, you use the ABP's event bus APIs like event bus, distributed event bus. So when you use that, ABP's inbox and outbox patterns can work. So it guarantees that the message will be delivered at most once and at least once. And it also tries to reconnect or retry when the message cannot be delivered through message broker, or it publishes messages in the background workers and so on. There are a lot of features you can find in the documentation. Now, you can also use a Dapr integration with Dapr's pops up block, building block. Then all the messages again pass through to Dapr's sidecar, and you can use Dapr's features and Dapr's configuration to use a message broker in your system. Another concept was integration services. If assume that you have a microservice solution with 3 microservices here, and you have a web application or third-party clients, they are making HTTP requests. We can call this request as external request They are passing through the API gateway and redirected to your microservices. In addition to this external API calls, you may need to make some HTTP requests between microservices. We can call this internal or integration service calls. So with ABP 7, we provided a simple convention and way to distinguish these endpoints from other external system. So we have introduced an attribute. It's called integration service attribute. You can put this integration service attribute on top of any application service class, which it makes the application service market as an integration service. So one convention is that ABP uses integration API prefix instead of the API prefix by default for integration services. In this way, for example, you can configure your API gateway to allow only the HTTP request begins with the API prefix, and you prevent or prohibit calls for the integration APIs. In this way, integration APIs can be unauthorized or can be developed and can run with different security and runtime conditions. So they will be handled different from other application services that are consumed from third-party clients or application service or your applications. Audit logging is disabled by default for the integration services because most of the time there will be no user context here. It's a service-to-service call, but it can be enabled if you want for your classes or methods. Unit of work, validation, and all other application service features are already available with the integration services too. Okay, with ABP 7, we have worked a lot on microservice systems, especially to make it possible to create some advanced scenarios with microservices. And we have created a permission, ABP has a permission and feature system. Like, for example, for permissions, we define a permission in the application code. That means for a microservice system, we define a microservices permission in the microservices code. So here you see we have defined a permission definition provider and created a permission to create an author. Then when you need to check if the current user or client has this permission, you just use the ASP.NET Core standard authorize attribute on top of a method or on top of your class. Then ABP automatically creates a user interface for admin users to grant access to other users or roles or manage access to roles and users in the system. So this is already a system of ABP's maybe before for the beginning. So with ABP 7, we have created this is actually a static system. That means only the permission names is not stored in the database, and it's available in the application that defines the permission. Now assume a scenario that we have a microservice one defines permission A and B in its own code base. Then we have also another microservice which defines permission C, D, and E. They both share the same permission management database to store access permission grants for for these permissions. Before ABP 7, it was like working like that, and there was no way to check permission B from microservice 2 because permission B is defined in microservice 1. Assume that we want to create a permission management microservice in our system and want to use that permission management microservice from the permission management user interface. In that case, we want to grant or we want to manage all the permissions in a single user interface. So with a single microservice behind the API gateway. So now it's possible to make this setup, because ABP also stores the permission names and permission groups in the database. So all the microservices synchronize their permissions to the database, and the permission management system can be aware of all the permissions defined in the old microservices. That's how it works briefly. I talked in .NET Conf in the last week or 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. Last week actually. Yeah, and I have talked about this system in details. If you are interested in details, you can just watch my talk about the distributed about authorization in distributed systems. A localization system has also the same problem. You know, in ABP framework, also in ASP.NET Core, localization texts are stored in the assembly that defines it. So there is no way in a microservice system to collect all the authorization, all the localization text in a single place, so manage them or read them in a single point. Now with ABP 7, that's possible. We automatically syncing all the localization resources defined in all microservices to a shared localization database. And now we can be able to get and manage localization text from a single localization service. Basically, we have introduced an external localization store service that can be used to obtain the dynamic localizations from database in addition to the static localization text. We have also optimized localization text when consuming from the clients. I will also mention one optimization point in the next slide. We have also added some APIs to support non-static localization resource. That means now we are able to manage or read localization text defined in a localization resource that's not available in our application. Okay. With ABP 6.0, you know, ABP has a configuration, application configuration endpoint. This is example coming from the MVC UI. It's creating a configuration script at the beginning. This is loaded in every page, and it contains a lot of information about the current user, localization, permissions, settings, and a lot more. With ABP 6.0, when you create a new solution, it was around 90 kilobytes. Now with ABP 7, it reduced more than 50%, and it is split into two endpoints. The localization is separated and returned by another endpoint, which is like 34 kilobyte in this example, and the configuration script is now 10% of the old one, and it is loaded very fast. This values are in development mode, and it is not zipped and minimized, so it will be much shorter actually. And with this setup, the localization script endpoint can be cached also at the CDN level. That means the localization, when you configure the CDN for the localization script, then actually the configuration endpoint is reduced from almost 90 kilobytes to 9 kilobytes. That's a huge improvement with the ABP 7. When you want to localize a text in your application service, you typically inject iString localizer of your localize, which is a generic type, takes as generic parameter as your localization resource class. Here, the sample localization resource is my resource. So once you inject the localizer, you can easily localize text with the current language. That means if the user is using English name, you are getting the English text here. Okay, that's already working with the previous versions. With ABP 7, you can localize like that. You can inject the string localizer factory in that case, and then create the localization resource by its name instead of the type. This has advantage that it can work dynamically when you have the localization resource's name. Previously, you need to have a reference to the class, to the assembly that defines the localization resource class. The rest is same. You can just use the brackets here to localize. And we have added some APIs to string localizer, which can be used in some scenarios. The first one is used to get all strings async. You know, it already has get all strings in Microsoft's implementation, but it's not async. However, under the hood, we may get localization text from a database or even a remote resources. So it will be very good to have an async version of that method. So we have added with ABP 7. And this is new. This is not available in standard.NET localization system. The get supported cultures returns only the cultures supported by the specific localization resource. Your system may support 10 languages, for example, but the localization resource may contain only 3 languages. So this gets all the supported cultures only for the current localizer instance. Another API is, you know, ABP has a localizable string class. When you have an instance of a localizable string class, you can localize it anywhere when you want. So it separates the definition of localization text from the conversion or translation point. We are using this in several places, for example, while localizing the permission names. Anyway, here now you can create a localizable string with also specifying the dynamic localization resource text, resource name actually. Then you can just use the localize async method by providing a localizer factory to perform the actual translation. This is using the culture wrapper is just example to change the current culture. Okay, let's mention about another feature coming with ABP 7. It's entity cache service. Assume that you have an entity like a product here. This is an entity, actually aggregate root with primary key of GUID. Anyway, it has some properties, and you want to cache these type of entities by ID. So first point or first way, as a first step, you should configure the entity cache for this entity. We provided an entity cache extension method to the service collection. So you just configure the entity class and the primary key type. Then you can be able to inject entity cache of product and GUID as just using standard dependency injection system. And when you want to get a product with ID, you can just use product cache.getAsync. If this product with the given ID is not present in the cache, it will automatically get from the database using the standard repository interface, then cache in the distributed cache, then return the product to you. So next time it will be available in the cache. Here you see that I have used the product entity for the caching. That may not possible always, because in some cases entities cannot be serialized to JSON or deserialized, or you may want to use another item for cache. For example, I don't want to cache the product entity itself, but I want to cache product DTO classes or objects. To do that, assume that you have a product DTO class with the same or similar properties. It can even be different properties, doesn't matter. that with this time you configure the entity cache with 3 parameters. With the first parameter is the entity, the second parameter is the target cache class. Here it's product ID, product DTO, sorry, and the third one is the primary key object. Then the usage is completely similar. You just inject the identity cache with the product DTO in that case, and get it a product with ID. You see that I haven't used object mapper as compared to the previous example, because the DTO is already cached in the entity cache. And entity cache internally uses the object mapper to map from product to product DTO. So if you use that pattern, you also need to configure the automapper configuration. So it works as expected. Okay, I'm coming to last ones. You know that we are developing eShopOnAbp as a similar example of eShop on containers of Microsoft. eShopOnAbp demonstrates how to create a microservice solution with the ABP framework. In the ABP 7, we have also worked on that project and added Kcloak integration. Actually, we have replaced the authentication server. We were using Identity Server 4 with the OpenIDD migration with ABP framework. We used OpenIDD everywhere, but people were sometimes asking how to integrate such standalone or external authentication providers like Kcloak. We have demonstrated it with the eShopOnAbp project. I will make a demo after the slide. We are also building a content management system kit as a short name, CMS kit, with the ABP framework. It has some pre-built content management features like commenting, page, blogs, rating, and much more. We integrated the CMS kit with the eShopOnAbp, and we have created the new microservice in the system for CMS kit. And we integrated CMS kit's commenting and rating functionalities. I will make a demo after the slide. And finally, we are working on a free ebook for building microservices with the ABP framework that explains building microservices in general, also focuses on this example application. That's all the presentation. I will make some demo here now. You know, the eShopOnAbp project is located under the same organization with the ABP framework. You can find it here. As a brief, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 microservices. They are mostly using PostgreSQL, but also using MongoDB and Redis. I can make it bigger. Okay, using event bus as RabbitMQ as event bus, and anyway, it's built with best practices. It is configured to run in Kubernetes and so on. It's also integrated. It's also configured for TIE. You know, Microsoft's Project TIE is used to run all the applications in a distributed system to make it easier. I run the solution in TIE. You know, you see that all the replicas or all the applications are currently running, and the application is here. It's a typical eShop project, e-commerce project. For example, I can add this to basket, add another one to basket, add again, and so on. I can open the basket and complete the purchase. I suppose it's redirected to, it's currently redirected to Kcloak to make me login, because our authentication provider is Kcloak here. Now I can complete the purchase because I am already logged in. I can select address and payment method. These are not so important here. Now I have orders. I can see my orders here. Okay, and so on. The new feature, CMS Kit integration feature, here I purchased this item, and now I can give a rating here. Okay, that's all. It's saved. I can change. No, sorry, I can undo and give another rating. I can comment it here. CMS Kit's comment feature is like a widget. It's very easy to add to an application. Here we will also be documenting this. Okay, now we have integrated it to the product detail page. Finally, if you visit the ABP IO website and to the books page, you see that building microservice solution books is currently in preview. Actually, we have completed, I suppose, 2 or 3 chapters currently available. I'm not sure. You can download it at least to get the application up and running. Okay. And finally, you can visit ABP blog to read details about the ABP 7 release candidate version. This is written by Engin and me. So you can read details, for example, of distributed entity cache and so on. That's all from me, Ru. I know it was a long part.
It's stunning.
But we have made a lot of excellent and interesting features with the ABP 7. I wanted to mention some of the major items. Now, okay.
We will have a long night today. We will have a long night today.
It's almost finished.
No, as I see from the question answer part, we have already 38 questions waiting for us.
We will go fast. No problem.
Well, but it's excellent work. I saw someone actually left a comment that like, good job on shortening the script to 51%. So it's stunning speech. Thank you very much, Khalid. I think it's very clear and detailed explanation for the new features of ABP 7.0. And I hope all of you can really learn the benefits from our new version. Otherwise, Khalid will be sad. If I were him, I would cry maybe if you don't really learn something. Okay, now it is the time for our cute speaker, Bige. Are you ready? Yeah. We're gonna start the tour with Bige to see some highlights from .NET conference. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Start. Thank you so much. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about .NET Conference 2022, which is a 3-day event that took place in between November 8th to November 10th. As Halil mentioned, he was also one of the speakers. It was 12 hours for the first day and 33 hours nonstop for the second and third days. So .NET Conference, to give you a little preview about the .NET Conference, it's an annual developer event which is held virtually. For this year, it was co-organized by the .NET community and Microsoft, and it was sponsored by the .NET Foundation and ecosystem partners. It was a chance to learn and get inspired for your next software project in .NET. So you will have a chance to learn to build for a variety of platforms and devices, all with .NET. They have presentations on almost every possible topic covered in the event. To have a deeper look at this, we will also go day by day for this, but overall, they have talked about web, cloud, client, .NET developer stories, CSS Spotlight, deeper in .NET, Blazor, GitHub, Windows, and you see the rest. So it's safe to say that there is a session for everyone, no matter if you're just a beginner or experienced in the area. They also have each presentation divided into videos, and it is accessible in their YouTube channel.
Sorry, Bijan. I think I
right.
interrupt you.
It's okay. No worries. And I also want to talk about the local watch party events, because I want to know if you guys would be interested in us doing a local event for .NET conference in specific. Since it's a local watch party event, it would be in Turkish, and we would plan to have it in Turkey. So if you're interested, please just DM us or write in the comments, so we would consider your suggestions. And for the first day, they have talked about keynote. They had the keynote speech, and they have talked about web, cloud, client, .NET developer stories, code party, and CSS Spotlight. Okay, from the first day, the highlights were, to begin with, it was What's New for Blazor in .NET 7 by Steve Sanderson. In his session, Steve showed the new support for custom elements, improved data binding, handling location changing events, showing loading progress, dynamic authentication requests, and more. And the second one was building amazing cross-platform UI for .NET with Avalonia UI by Mike James. He talked about how to get started using Avalonia UI, as well as mentioning why it is picked by the industry leaders. And the last one from the first day was State of ASP.NET Core by Daniel Roth. In this session, Daniel Roth overviewed what's new in ASP.NET Core in .NET 7, including runtime performances, minimal APIs, and front-end web development with Blazor for web developers. From the second day, they went deeper in .NET and then talked about Blazor, GitHub, Windows, modernization, and general topics. And then it continued to the third day, which we'll cover in this presentation later. Okay, the first one from the second day was What's New in C# 11 by Matt Torgerson and Dustin Campbell. They shared the latest goodies of C# 11 in their talk. For the next one, we have Visual Studio for C# developers by Tim Corey. He explained how Visual Studio Code will help you become more productive C# developer to work in a fast editor environment, and shared some helpful tips on how to do this. For the next one, we have high performance services with gRPC and what's new in .NET 7 by James Newton King. In his talk by James, you will learn about what's new in gRPC for .NET 7, including performance improvements, create RESTful services with gRPC JSON Transcoding, and gRPC apps on Azure App Services. For the last two from the second day, we have performance improvements in .NET 7 by Stephen Toll. Stephen surveyed the performance improvements in .NET 7 and shared the results with you in his talk. And for the last one, we have .NET WebAssembly in .NET 7 by, again, Daniel Roth. In this session, Daniel showed how to run .NET from any JavaScript code and looked at debugging and hot reload improvements for .NET on WebAssembly, showed how the .NET WebAssembly build tools in .NET 7 take advantage of the latest WebAssembly features to improve performance, as well as checking out the experimental .NET WebAssembly capabilities. For the third day, They have talked about general topics, Linux, data, ML, AI, and games. From the day 3, the most highlighted ones were Aloha, .NET MAUI Community Toolkit by Gerald Verslius. In this session, Gerald dived into the history of the community toolkits, what you can do with it, and how to get started yourself. For the next one, we have Leveling Up Data, upgrade from EF6 to EF7 and blast off. It was by Arthur Vickers and Shay Rojansky. It was a code-heavy session, and Arthur and Shay took an Entity Framework 6 application running on .NET Framework 4.8 and upgraded to Entity Framework Core 7 running on .NET 7, and then explained how it improved their performance and processes. Afterwards, they have used the new features from EF7 to further boost their performance. And we also have a special highlight for Halil Ibrahim Kalkan's speech. He talked about authorization in a distributed and microservice systems. In his talk, he introduced the challenges of permission-based authorization systems and explained the solution we have implemented with the open source ABP framework and .NET. So that was all for me. Thank you guys for listening. I will link down below after this talk is finished, so you will be able to reach out all the talks that we have mentioned in this presentation and more. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Bigay. Well, actually, thank you very much for all our speakers, our team. Okay, now we can move on to the Q&A session, I guess. And it's gonna be a challenge for you. You can see from the board, we have tons of questions. So
okay, I'm getting the first one.
Okay.
Who is asking? Okay, the first one is from Paul. .NET 6 is long-term support. .NET 7 isn't. What will happen to people who choose to stay on .NET 6? Will they only get critical fixes? Okay, here is the .NET and .NET Core support policy stated in Microsoft website. Here you can see that the .NET Core 3.1 the support will be ending the next month, and after that we have 2 years to be ended the support for .NET 6, the long-term support. And in this duration, they will publish new versions. After that, you will get only security patches or some blocking case patches. And now for the .NET 7.0, it's short-term support. And as stated here, long-term support releases get free support and patches for 3 years. So we have 2 years for .NET 6. Let's move on to the next question. With ABP 7 and .NET 7, will we just use system text JSON, or will it still be necessary or recommended to use Newton JSON? Okay, here Microsoft has a documentation about Newtons of JSON and system text JSON comparison. You can check out this table. There are still some gaps that are not filled with system text JSON. And I can show you that ABP also has system text JSON and Newtons of JSON packages. So we support it. Ali, do you want to add anything for this one?
Okay, I can share my screen. Okay, with ABP 7, we no longer need the Newtonsoft for the ABP part. If your application hasn't used any Newtonsoft specific feature, then you can completely remove Newtonsoft with the ABP 7 because now we have also splitted package, and you are able to remove that dependency. I suppose it's written in the migration documents. Okay.
Yeah, for the backwards compatibility, we still keep this package, the Newtonsoft. And for the next question
is, will ABP 7 be supporting gRPC? I think you will be answering it.
Yes, because we haven't implemented it, but we have an article about how to integrate. Halil has written this article. By following this article, you will be able to integrate it. I think it's enough for this question.
It's very interesting idea. He's asking, Microsoft has released JSON Transcoding feature. That means you can create REST APIs and expose them. You can create gRPC endpoints and expose them also as REST APIs. So it will be possible to create a single gRPC service base and serve both type of clients. That can be an option for us for the features, but this is a very, very new feature. We will be looking for it.
Okay, Paul is asking about Angular 14. Will ABP 7 still be Angular 14, or will we get Angular 15? Yes, we are working on Angular 15. In the stable version of ABP 7, you will see the Angular 15.
I can answer the next one. With the new required attribute change, the way ABP handles validation in the pre-made modules, actually not. The new required, it's not actually an attribute. It's a keyword, required keyword. I suppose Don is talking about the required keyword of new C# 11. So if so, it's a compile time feature and not related to validation at all. You can mention about the breaking change coming with ABP 7 also.
Yeah, here we have a documentation for migrating from ABP 6 to 7. In this migration document, you can see all the breaking changes and requirements to follow. Here we have ABP commercial version as well. You can see the breaking changes here. Another question, the other one.
I can say that the migration will be very smooth from ABP 6 to 7. All the breaking changes are very detailed APIs, and most applications, I think, didn't use them. And I can answer the next question. It's related to new bulk delete and update features of anti-framework core. For that part, actually, ABP 7 has no feature or no change in the repositories. We have investigated that features and see that we may introduce a delete direct method, method that takes an expression. So with ABP 7.1, not 7.0, with 7.1, there will be a new repository method. This will be a standard method. It will also work with MongoDB. That will take an expression and delete all the entities matching that expression. So for now, with ABP 7, no change in the repository level.
Okay. The next question is about JSON columns, the new .NET 7 JSON columns. We haven't done anything on JSON columns. He's asking, is there any extra?
That. ABP has an extra properties dictionary-like object, actually a dictionary, we can say. It's used to store some dynamic values and relate these values with entities, save and get them from database. So we store this value as a JSON string in the database. Okay, so he is asking if we can use JSON columns with the new ABP, the new anti-framework 7 feature. For that, I investigated, I checked this feature. I think it's not related to our extra properties usage because it requires a class to map to the JSON columns. But with our implementation, there is no class or there is no entity like value object, I suppose, that matches. So it's different things, I think.
It's all in dynamic. The next question is, will that, yeah, I have showed the website migration guide. You can follow this one. I'm jumping to the next question. Did you make any performance benchmarks for ABP? I will show you. This is my GIST, personal GIST, and here you can see performance test results for ABP framework. And for this one, this is the output, the conclusion part. You can jump into this part. Here you can see the throughputs, the important column here, with ABP and without ABP. I'm not going in details here, but we make this with gmeter, and here you can see the test projects in the ABP framework repository. Go to the ABP test, ABP perf test folder, and you can see the configuration and the projects that we made this benchmark. We can jump to the other question.
I can show my screen for the next one, Alper. Okay, will there be a tutorial sample or article for Dapr integration with ABP? If you currently visit the ABP documentation website and select the version 7 from that combo box, this is a preview, you know, and you can just search for Dapr. If you click that, you see that Dapr documentation is a very detailed documentation with samples and all the configuration details. So Dapr integration is well documented. Also, Malimink is our Chinese developer has created a good example in the ABP samples repository for Dapr. So you can also check the usage of distributed log, PubSub, and service invocation. The documentation will be mostly sufficient, but if you want, there is also an example project.
Okay, next one. Ruslan Hasanov is asking, will there be a tutorial sample or article, or not this one? Roberto Fiocchi, does ABP Dynamic C# Client Proxy also work with Blazor WebAssembly?
Yes, works.
Okay, the next question, Allah Wahba, does multilingual supported? Because it's one of the item. Yeah, it's one of the item in here. Maybe if you have tracked this pull request, we have made a implementation, but we didn't like the design, the technical design, and I opened another issue to get the ideas, because the other one has some design problems, and it's still open. We didn't make any improvement on this one. Do you have anything to add this, Ali?
Yeah, I want to state that localization is already supported by the ABP framework, but the question is creating different versions of the same entity with the different language localized text values. ABP doesn't offer any built-in feature. You should currently create your own solution for that. That's all. This is not prioritized from us currently.
Okay. Servet, for Dapr integration, did you use any Dapr SDK, or you create a new SDK for Dapr
We
client?
use Microsoft standard SDK. So
Okay.
we use standard client library.
Okay, he has a suggestion, Ruslan. At the same time, can we use Dapr HTTP and gRPC protocols?
At the same time, we can use Dapr HTTP and we can use.
I think we don't have a restriction for this one. Ilian Kostov, is it possible to split NSWAC service proxy per module?
Actually, we don't use NSWAC to create service proxies. ABP has already service proxy generation for also Angular, MVC, and also .NET clients. So ABP's system already works per module, even per service. So it's well optimized. And that can be answered. Okay.
Can, günaydın. Any plan for distributed transaction for multiple service operations on new ABP release?
No, we currently don't have any plan. Actually, we have a plan, but it's not scheduled. We are thinking about to integrate existing Saga libraries or systems. But currently, there is no scheduled plan for that. You can use ABP's inbox and outbox patterns to ensure distributed transactions for events and messaging, at least for now.
Okay, I will answer Stanislaw Tristan's question. Which version of Entity Framework Core is used in ABP 7? Let's check here. Vola ABP Entity Framework Core NuGet package, and we are using the latest Microsoft Entity Framework Core, which is 7. Let's jump to Roberto Fiocchi's question. How do I customize the permission tree in the UI if it's dynamic? Any idea?
Customize the permission tree. I didn't understand the question.
Okay.
The dynamic is not the permission tree or HTML code. Just the permission list is dynamic. It's already dynamic if you look from the UI perspective. So no change.
Okay. Paul, are you periodically security scanning your code? If yes, can we get a PDF or show us which you have deemed the false positive? Okay, we made a penetration test also for the latest 2 versions. We made this test for 6 and 7 as well. This is the report, but we made it for commercial version. But as commercial version is using the open source one, also it supports the open source one.
The open source.
Yeah. Here you can see the positive and false positive alerts. Some positive alerts are already fixed, and we have declared it with the issue numbers here. You can check out this, and we have made a very detailed penetration test report here. And OWASP Zap tool is used for this tool, for this report. Okay, I'm going fast because we are running out of time. Let me pick some other questions. Is it localization backward compatible? Okay, Mohammed Rashid is asking about localization.
Yes, backward compatible, yes.
Okay. When will Blazor UI will get the same kind of attention as its older brothers, MVC and Angular? I feel like it's regarded as a second-class citizen in the front-end environment of ABP.
Actually, I don't think so.
It's a new front-end UI. Maybe that's why.
I don't think so, actually. We are working in parallel for every feature. But maybe for some features, Blazor's capabilities are limited. So it's not flexible as we do some things in MVC and Angular UI. That may not be that may be the reason why it has some lacking feature details. Actually, all the features are parallel, but some features have are not detailed as MVC and Angular. But mostly it's first-class citizen for us. No different.
Also, the ecosystem of Blazor components are limited. That's why it's hard to find the appropriate components that fits to other like MVC and Angular components.
Can I take question, Alper, from here?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you thinking of creating MAUI UI template? If so, when? Okay. We already created and published a simple startup MAUI template for ABP commercial. we are also working for a full MAUI application with Blazor web integrated for ABP Commercial. To be honest, we are giving the priority to ABP Commercial for the MAUI mobile and desktop applications. Yeah, because it's commercial, they are paying money, and then we will also be thinking to create something for the open source side.
Okay, I think this might be the last question. We are 1.5 an hour past. Paul is asking, when will we get Lepton-X documentation? There is Lepton-X Lite documentation, but there is not much there. For example, we want to know how to add mobile entries in the footer. So, do you have anything to say about Lepton-X documentation? We are working. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's currently in progress. There are some documents in the especially ABP frameworks documentation. There are actually some important documents are completed, but more are coming.
Also, we have updated our Lepton team website. Maybe some of you don't know. We updated also the live demo here. We made some performance improvements.
There is also documentation link Alper there. Okay. I think the questions are enough. We see that there are more questions and important questions, to be honest, but sorry, we are out of time. We are at you, Ru.
Yeah, I think, I guess this community talk is super interesting. That's why people are so tend to ask questions. But sorry, we are running out of the time. Okay, now it's the winner time. Now we have the winners. As you can see on the screen. So congratulations, Raslan Hasanov. You win the ABP personal license, and for Ahmed Farouk Ulu Zepi, and who's the last one? Dom Butui. Sorry if I didn't say your name right. You guys, congratulations! You win our giveaways for .ultimate subscriptions and ABP personal license. All right, you can please contact us at marketing@volosoft.com with the winner of, I am the winner of .ultimate or I am the winner of ABP personal license in the subject line. And time to say goodbye. Thank you for all attending today's community talks, especially our speakers. Good job. I hope you all found it interesting and helpful. We will see you on the next episode. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.